Trump Putin to meet in Alaska next week. And Salam Malaysia Madani. Thanks for tuning in. You're watching World Today with me, Mona Priya. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said in a statement on Friday that he was gravely alarmed by the decision of the Israeli government to take control of Gaza City. Israel's security cabinet approved a plan to take control of Gaza City, a move expanding military operations in the shattered Palestinian territory that drew strong, fresh criticism at home and abroad.
The Secretary General once again strongly urges the government of Israel to abide by its obligations under international law. He recalls that the International Court of Justice, in its advisory opinion of 19 July 2024, declared that the State of Israel is under an obligation to cease immediately all new settlement activities and to evacuate all settlers from the occupied Palestinian territory and to bring to an end its unlawful presence in the occupied Palestinian territory, which encompasses Gaza and the West Bank, including East Jerusalem, as rapidly as possible. There will be no sustainable solution to this conflict without an end to this unlawful occupation and the achievement of a viable two-state solution. Gaza is and must remain an integral part of a Palestinian state.
The announcement from the Benjamin Netanyahu's office early on Friday said the military would take Gaza City, but did not say if Israeli forces would take all of the enclave. Israeli media have said 900,000 people now live in Gaza City, including many who have been displaced by the military. Israeli Defense Forces claim that it controls around 75% of Gaza. There are 50 hostages still held in Gaza, of whom Israeli officials believe 20 are alive. Most of those freed so far emerged as a result of diplomatic negotiations. However, talks towards a ceasefire that could have seen more hostages released collapsed in July. European Council President Antonio Costa and European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen urged Israel to reconsider its decision to take over Gaza City. It came after Israeli Prime Minister's office said on Friday that the country's security cabinet had approved a plan to take over Gaza City. In a social media post, Costa said such a decision must have consequences for EU-Israel relations to be assessed by the Council. He added the situation in Gaza remains dramatic and the decision by the Israeli government will only further worsen it. He noted that the two-state solution remains the only sustainable long-term solution for peace and security in Israel and the region. On the same day, von der Leyen said on social media that the Israeli government's decision to further extend its military operation in Gaza must be reconsidered. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz also announced on Friday that Germany will suspend all exports of military equipment that could be used in Gaza. This move marks a drastic change of course for Germany, long one of Israel's staunchest international allies. Between 7th October 2023 and 13th May this year, Germany approved defense exports worth 485 million euros to Israel. Germany has suspended all military exports to Israel that could be used in Gaza after Israel's security cabinet approved a plan to take over Gaza City, an escalation in the 22-month war. Now, Chancellor Friedrich Merz announced the decision on Friday, shortly after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office confirmed the security cabinet voted in favor of a plan to seize the largest city in the besieged Palestinian territory. Merz stressed that Germany could no longer ignore the worsening toll on civilians. A day earlier, Netanyahu had declared that Israeli forces were aiming to take full military control of the entire Gaza Strip, despite mounting international condemnation over Israel's war, which has killed tens of thousands of people and caused a starvation crisis. According to a statement by the Israeli government released late on the day, Netanyahu expressed disappointment with the arms decision. It added that it feels Germany is rewarding Hamas and failing to support Israel's just war. From October 2023 to May this year, Germany issued arms export licenses to Israel worth 485 million euros, making it one of Israel's key military suppliers. U.S. President Donald Trump announced on Friday that he will meet Russian President Vladimir Putin on the 15th of August in the U.S. state of Alaska. Trump said that he would meet Putin very shortly, but had withheld the date and location earlier to avoid overshadowing the framework peace deal he brokered between Azerbaijan and Armenia, which was signed Friday at the White House. He said Putin would like to meet as soon as possible and announced that Russia and Ukraine will swap territories as part of a peace deal. Trump added that European leaders wanted peace between Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, and both leaders shared the same goal. U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff was in Moscow on Wednesday for his 5th visit to Russia this year. He last met Putin on the 25th of April. The latest visit came 2 days before Trump's 10-day deadline for Russia to reach a ceasefire deal with Ukraine. After decades of conflict, Armenia and Azerbaijan are making peace. The two nations signed a landmark agreement Friday at the White House, brokered by U.S. President Donald Trump, aimed at ending hostilities and opening a new chapter of economic cooperation. The deal calls for an end to fighting, the restoration of diplomatic ties, and a pledge to respect each other's territorial integrity.
It's a long time, 35 years. They fought, and now they're friends, and they're going to be friends for a long time. But it's a big, beautiful honor to welcome everyone to the White House for this very historic peace summit between Armenia and Azerbaijan. It's really a great thrill for me. I love seeing good people get together, and that's what you have. You have two great leaders. I want to congratulate these two visionary people, Prime Minister Pashinyan and President Aliyev.
As part of the deal, the U.S. secured exclusive development rights to a key transit corridor through the region, a strategic route that could boost energy exports and trade. The White House also announced expanded partnerships with both countries in energy, technology, and artificial intelligence. Both leaders thanked Trump and said they plan to nominate him for the Nobel Peace Prize. British authorities arrested almost 1 in 5 people they checked in a week-long crackdown on migrants working illegally as delivery riders last month. The operation was part of a push by the government to tackle illegal migration, which also includes new legal requirements for companies to verify workers' immigration status. Immigration enforcement officers stopped and questioned 1,780 individuals between 20th and 27th July, and 280 people were arrested. The Interior Ministry said asylum support was being reviewed for 53 of those detained. Prime Minister Keir Starmer is facing pressure to show voters that he can counter illegal immigration, with support rising for Brexit campaigner Nigel Farage's Reform UK party. Civil penalty notices were issued to 51 businesses, including car washes and restaurants, which could face fines for employing illegal workers. The Interior Ministry said immigration enforcement teams would receive a £5 million funding boost for the work tackling illegal working. In the 12 months to July, Britain returned 35,052 people with no right to remain, up 13% on the previous 12 months. A man opened fire outside the headquarters of the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention in Atlanta on Friday, killing a police officer before being found dead in a nearby building. Atlanta Police Chief Darren Shearbaum said the gunman was found on the second floor of a building across the street from the CDC campus and died at the scene. He added that it was not known whether the suspect died from shots fired by the responding officers or if it was self-inflicted. Shirbam also confirmed that a police officer succumbed to the wounds while receiving treatments at hospital. The shooter was armed with a long gun and authorities recovered 3 other firearms at the scene. Fortunately, there were no civilians harmed in the incident. Although the bullets fired by the suspect struck CDC buildings, including areas near a daycare, the 92 children inside were safe and later reunited with parents under supervision. The police also noted that there was no indication of a second suspect. Coming up next, Nagasaki marks 80th atomic bombing anniversary today. His Majesty Sultan Ibrahim, King of Malaysia, expressed hope that his visit to Kazan would inspire stronger ties between Malaysia and the Russian Republic of Tatarstan. In his address when receiving an audience from the Rise of Tatarstan, Rustam Minikhanov, at the Kazan Kremlin Presidential Palace on Friday, Sultan Ibrahim said he was pleased with the growing engagements between the people of Malaysia and Tatarstan in economic, institutional and cultural cooperation. Looking ahead, the King highlighted significant potential for enhanced collaboration in sectors such as petrochemicals, innovation, Islamic finance and the halal industry. The King noted that Malaysian and Russian universities, including several in Kazan, have developed strong partnerships, including joint research in emerging fields such as engineering, energy and computer science. He also commended the ongoing collaboration between Kazan Federal University and Kazan National Research Technological University with University Technology Malaysia. His Majesty also said that the prospect of resuming direct air connectivity between Russia and Malaysia has been encouraging, which would open new avenues for tourism, commerce and enhance people-to-people exchanges. In the meantime, Sultan Ibrahim expressed his joy at renewing his close friendship with Minikhanov at the historical landmark of the Kazan Kremlin. Colombian President Gustavo Petro announces the start of fresh dialogue abroad with Clan del Golfo, the country's largest drug trafficking gang and the world's largest producer of cocaine. The powerful paramilitary origin group calls itself the Gaitanista Army of Colombia and has more than 7,500 members, including fighters and support networks. It also represents one of the main security challenges for Petro's leftist administration. The Clan del Golfo insists on being recognized as a political group and is demanding legal treatment similar to that offered to guerrilla fighters and paramilitary squads. In late July, the government submitted a controversial proposal to Congress aimed at bringing criminal groups to justice through benefits such as reduced sentences and protection from extradition in exchange for disarmament. Since taking office in 2022, Petro has attempted to negotiate disarmament deals with various armed groups, so far without success. In September, the U.S. is expected to decide whether to renew Colombia's certification as a partner in the war on drugs. Without it, the South American country risks losing U.S. and U.S. aid used to combat guerrilla forces and drug traffickers. Today, Japan marks 80 years since the atomic bombing of Nagasaki with a moment of silence. Twin cathedral bells also rang in unison for the first time since the bombing in a message of peace to the world. The imposing red brick cathedral with its twin bell towers atop a hill was rebuilt in 1959 after it was almost completely destroyed in the monstrous explosion just a few hundred meters away. Only one of its 2 bells was recovered from the rubble, leaving the northern tower silent. With funds from U.S. churchgoers, a new bell was constructed and restored to the tower and will chime Saturday at the exact moment the bomb was dropped. The cathedral's chief priest, Kenichi Yamamura, believes the bell's restoration shows the greatness of humanity. Nearly 100 countries are set to participate in this year's commemorations, including Russia, which has not been invited since its 2022 invasion of Ukraine. On the 9th of August 1945, at 11:02 a.m., 3 days after a nuclear attack on Hiroshima, the U.S. dropped an atomic bomb on Nagasaki. About 74,000 people were killed in the southwestern port city on top of the 140,000 killed in Hiroshima. Days later, on the 15th of August 1945, Japan surrendered, marking the end of the Second World War. Firefighters in Greece continued to battle blazes into the night on Friday after gale-force winds caused the fires to spread at rapid speed. In the town of Kerana, southeast of Athens, at least one person died and homes and farmlands were destroyed. Firefighters found the body of an elderly man inside a burnt-out building. The blaze broke out shortly after 2 p.m. local time on Friday in the Manutso area, initially burning through dry grass and plots of land. Spokesman Vasilis Vatrokogiannis said during a briefing that winds in the area had reached a force 7 on the Beaufort scale. As night fell and firefighting aircraft were grounded, residents watched as the fires burned on the ridges of hillsides. The fire brigade said another fire was also burning forest and olive groves in the region of ancient Olympia in the southwest of the country. Across Greece, more than 50 agricultural and forest fires have broken out in the past 24 hours, one of the worst days for wildfires this summer. Now, rescue efforts are underway after continuous heavy rain triggered mountain torrents in Yuzhong County, northwest China's Gansu province, leaving 10 dead and 33 missing as of Friday. Several towns in Yuzhong have been seriously affected. More than 2,700 rescue personnel have been dispatched by provincial authorities, along with 980 vehicles and pieces of machinery and 8,530 sets of emergency supplies. Search and rescue efforts for the missing, infrastructure repairs, and the evacuation and resettlement of affected residents are underway. Chinese President Xi Jinping gave instructions on the rescue and relief work after the disaster, demanding all-out efforts to find missing people. Xi also made important announcements and set out the priorities for the emergency response, urging using every possible means to search for the missing and evacuate the people at risk. He called for efforts to minimize casualties and restore communications and road access as soon as possible. Premier Li Qiang also instructed that every effort should be made to search for and rescue the missing victims and for emergency rescue operations to proceed at full strength. Barcelona restored Ter Stegen as captain after injury dispute. We begin our sports segment with local news. The national under-20 women's football squad's hopes to qualify for the finals of the 2026 Under-20 Asian Cup were dashed when they lost 0-16 to Japan in the second Group F qualifying match at the Kuala Lumpur Football Stadium yesterday. The Japanese opened up an unassailable lead in the first half, scoring 7 goals through Anon Suda, Mao Itamura and Asako Furuta. The visitors continued the rout by adding another 9 goals in the second half, courtesy of Furuta, So Kojima, Suda, Sawa, Suge and Yuka Kurimoto. National head coach Cameron Ng said his team was just not at the right level because they could not execute their game plan. The result leaves Malaysia at the bottom of the group, while Japan remain at the top with 6 points, followed by Iran, who beat Guam 2-0 today, also with 6 points. Malaysia will play Guam in the last Group F match on Sunday. Malaysian referee Nurul Atika Jannah has been selected for the 2025 Women's Futsal World Cup, which will be held in the Philippines from the 21st November to the 7th of December. The Football Association of Malaysia, FAM, announced that Nurul Atika, 32, is the only female futsal referee among the 23 Malaysian referees listed in the FIFA Referees List 2025. In a statement on its Facebook page, FAM congratulated Nurul Atika for making it into the list of 26 referees selected for the Women's Futsal World Cup stage. At the same time, FAM wished her well in carrying out her duties at the tournament. Since earning her FIFA referee badge in 2023, Nurul Atika has not only officiated women's futsal matches, but has also been entrusted with officiating men's futsal matches at both domestic and international levels, including the final of the 2023 AFF Futsal Club Championship in Korat, Thailand. Barcelona have reinstated Marc-Andre ter Stegen as club captain, revealing on Friday that their disciplinary case against the German has been closed. Barca signed 24-year-old goalkeeper Joan Garcia from local rivals Espanyol last month, with the club reportedly looking to sell ter Stegen, 33, which, according to Spanish media, to make space on their wage bill for Garcia and Manchester United loanee Marcus Rashford. However, ter Stegen had to have more surgery to finish repairing a multiple knee ligament tear sustained last season, closing the door for him to leave in the closed season transfer window and forcing Barca to try a different approach. The club asked ter Stegen to sign a long-term medical leave that would allow them to clear 80% of his wages until mid-season and comply with La Liga's financial fair play rules. However, ter Stegen's announcement on social media that he would be sidelined for only 3 months irked the club management, as La Liga rules require a player to remain out of action for at least 4 months to be considered a long-term injury. The controversy highlights Barcelona's financial struggles as they have battled to register new signings for several years running. The club are set to begin their La Liga title defence on the 16th of August. Barcelona manager Hansi Flick and his assistant Marcus Sorg has been fined €20,000 each and banned for 1 match in UEFA club competitions for misconduct. Now, Flick has been furious at several refereeing decisions in his side's 4-3 semi-final loss to Inter Milan in May that stopped them reaching their first Champions League final in a decade. The sanctions will take immediate effect, ruling both men out of the dugout for the start of this season's Champions League. In a separate decision, UEFA fined Barcelona forwards Lamine Yamal and Robert Lewandowski €5,000 each for failing to comply with instructions from anti-doping officer and not immediately reporting to a control post at the same game. Barcelona were also fined €5,250 over fans throwing objects and €2,500 for lighting fireworks during the match. Inter were fined €22,000 for their supporters blocking public passageways and another €11,500 for lighting fireworks. Coming up next, colourful stories await you in our Offbeat segment. Seoul's Convention and Exhibition Centre transformed into a playground of creativity for artists and toy collectors as ToyCon 2025 kicked off on Thursday. Artists can be seen creating experimental toy-inspired sculptures and paintings. This year's theme, Toyful Life, focuses on the evolution of toys from mere collectibles to meaningful expressions of culture and lifestyle. The exhibition highlights an impressive array of rare collectibles stalls, exciting new product launches and artist booths. Additionally, participants can look forward to live cosplay competitions. The fair also features an IP collaboration initiative that fosters creative crossovers between major brands and local artists. Visitors can also participate in a special conference where industry experts will engage in discussions about transformative role of AI in creative design. ToyCon, which runs through 10th of August, is widely celebrated as South Korea's premier art toy festival. This dynamic event unites collectors, artists, as well as pop culture and toy enthusiasts all under one roof. Star Wars lightsabers, Indiana Jones' bullwhip and Sauron's helmet from Lord of the Rings are some of the film props and collectibles that were exhibited for a preview on Wednesday ahead of Prop Store's Entertainment Memorabilia live auction. The UK-based entertainment memorabilia auctioneer featured 6 items on the mantle, including a shark tooth clapperboard from Steven Spielberg's Jaws, Jane Fonda's costume from Barbarella, and the memory-wiping neuralizer from the first Men in Black movie. The total collection includes over 1,000 collectibles with a total value estimated at $10 million. The priciest pick of the lot is Darth Vader's lightsaber from Star Wars movies The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Is set to fetch up to $1 million to $3 million when it goes under the hammer.
Yeah, this is the star item from our upcoming auction, our September Entertainment Memorabilia Live auction. And this is Darth Vader's dueling lightsaber. So this is the one that he used to fight Luke Skywalker, Mark Hamill, in the climactic duels in The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, which of course were shot here in the UK at Elstree Studios.
To cuddle with his pet requires an unusual amount of trust for Christian Collis. Frau Meyer, as he calls it, German for Mrs. Meyer, is an American alligator 2.5 meters long. While she spends most of her time floating and sunbathing at the house of the Collis family, she is perfectly able to move at lightning speed or crash food with her jaw rimmed with 82 teeth. Christian Collis, a former circus artist just like his dad, has known Frau Meyer since his childhood. To this day, he cuddles and takes baths with her.
Kennen tun wir uns, seitdem ich klein bin, seit 30 Jahren. Eine Vertrauensbasis ist natürlich da. Eine Risikochance besteht natürlich immer, auch jetzt, wenn ich zu ihm gucke. Ich weiß nicht, was hinter mir passiert.
If in future Collis Sr. can't take care of Frau Meyer any longer, Christian Collis wants to take over the care. Not an unlikely scenario, given that in captivity, American alligators can reach an age of 100. Nestled in a quiet corner in Mexico City's trendy Condesa neighborhood sits the vine-strewn restaurant Baldío, or Baron in English. It has now become a draw for its zero-waste kitchen, which means that every scrap of food and leftovers is reused for other purposes. The restaurant, which opened in 2024 and seats 52 people, is routinely packed since it was honored in June with a Michelin Green Star for its innovative sustainability model. Baldío's owners say it is the first zero-waste restaurant in Mexico City.
Casi todos los restaurantes tienen esta presión de dinero, de generar rápido, y pocas veces tienen el lujo o las ganas de pensar a largo plazo, ¿no? Baldío es un proyecto que piensa a largo plazo, que apuesta a largo plazo de diferentes maneras. Una de ellas es el cero desperdicio, que es disruptivo, sobre todo en un país como México, que la parte del desperdicio culturalmente es inmensa, pero nadie se fija tanto.
And that's it for World Today. In our top story, Trump and Putin to meet in Alaska for Ukraine talks next week. For business news updates, do join us tonight at 8:30 p.m. on TV1 or Saluran Berita RTM, or you can stream us live on RTM Click's website and mobile app. Till then, I'm Mohana Priya, Malaysia Madani, Rakyat, Disantuni.